Hey everyone, in this video, I'm going to create an end-to-end Power BI project on Superstore Analytics dashboard using the Sample Superstore Dataset. I'm going to provide you this dataset in the description so that you can build the dashboard along with me. So in this video, you will learn how to create a Power BI report from scratch, starting from the data transformation technique to data modeling concept and creating calculated measures and calculated tables and then creating visualizations. On top of that, I will also teach you how to remove clutters from your chart and how to answer the client's questions effectively using your visualization. As you can see on my screen, in this report, you can easily figure out the answers because I have used the storytelling techniques using conditional formatting, by making clean charts, by removing the clutter, by using some techniques to increase the readability of the chart. And I'm sure you are going to learn a lot of things from this Power BI project. You will also learn how to create a slicer panel using bookmarking techniques. So you can filter it from here and you can close the pane. So let's start the project. Now let's proceed to build this dashboard. So here is our data set. Here we have the orders table with these many columns, and then we have people which we don't require in this dashboard. This will be required when we create RLS, and this is the returns table. So this basically says which products are returned. So we need these two tables, orders and returns. Now let's see the requirement and the questions that need to be answered. So here we have the question that we are going to answer with our report. So these are 5 points. Let's read one by one. So first is to show the metrics. There are sales, profit, percentage of returned orders, and also we'll have to show the percentage change versus previous year. So we can cover this using the KPI visual. Second point is compare sales performance versus previous year over time. Third is determine the most profitable product and most loss-making product. Then we have find out the places where most of the profit is happening. And the next and the final one is to show the sales by segment. So these are the questions that we are going to answer with our report. Now let's move to the Power BI report. Let's import the tables that we require in our report. I will click on Excel workbook. Here we have this Sample Superstore Dataset. I'm going to load it. This is the order table that we require. And this is just the duplicate. People we don't require. Returns. Let's see the returns. This second one is the table that we require because it has the order ID in it. So these two tables we require in our report. Let's go to transform data. In the returns table, first of all, let's rename it to returns. And we can see we'll have to promote the headers here. Use first row as headers. And it will promote the headers. Now here we can see in the returns table, there are two columns, returned and order ID. In the returned column, there is a single value, yes, which is saying that, yeah, these products are returned. So basically we don't require this column returned because we know that these products are being returned. So this return column is not required. So in the data transformation technique, the first thing that we have to keep in mind is we will only import those columns that are required to build the visual or that are required to answer the questions in our report. So we will have to import the least number of columns in our report. So in the returns table, we don't require returns. So we can go to choose columns and we can uncheck the return. Only the order IDs are sufficient. Now let's go to orders table. Here we have many columns, but we can see from our requirement, we don't need all these columns. So let's move to the questions to see what all columns we should keep. So in the metrics, we can see that sales, profit and returned orders. So whatever, which is order ID, we require that. So these metrics we require. From here, we can see sales performance versus previous year over time. So some date column is required. So order date is required. From here, we can see profitable product. So it says product. So we require the columns which are dealing with product. From here, we can see find out the place. So place as in we require the geographical columns. And in the sales by segment, we require the segment column. So let's move to the Power Query. And here we'll do choose column. And we will unselect all the columns. I will select those columns that are required in our report. So order ID is required, order date is required, customer we are not using it. Still we can choose customer name for slicing the report. Segment, country or region, city, state and province, postal code, region, category, product category, subcategory is required, product name. These 4 metric columns are required. Click on OK. So it will remove the other columns. So these are the columns that we require in our report. So this table looks fine to me. No other changes are required because the data types looks fine. So whenever you are creating a report, you can check your data types. So you can check that. In my table, everything looks fine. So I don't need to do any data type changes. So let's proceed and do close and apply. So it is going to load these two tables after transformation. Let's go to the model view and let's build our data model. So from here, we can see these two tables are there. And these are the properties. From properties pane, you can click on pin related fields to top of the card. So this basically will show you the related columns on top of the table. Let's close this. And so this is our return. This is our orders. So this we can create a relationship between order ID. And let's say return filters the order and click on OK. Next is we'll have to create a date table. So it is very important to create your own date table in your data model. Why? Because when we don't create a date table in our report, Power BI doesn't recognize any table as date table. Whatever date columns are present in the dimension table, it will create those many tables in the backend, and it is going to slow your report. So this is one reason we should create our own date table. So, and the second reason will be, so whenever you are trying to create measure using time intelligence function, it requires a date table to avoid any confusion. From here, let's click on new table. Let's create this date table. I'm going to create add column. So this under this add column, let's add calendar function. So this calendar function takes start date and end date. So in the start date, we can take minimum of the order date, which is in the fact table, and end date, we can take the maximum of the order date. So this will create a list of dates. Next, in this column, we are going to create a monthly date column. So I will just say start of month. Here I will say EO month. So EO month basically returns the end date of a particular month. So here I'm going to give this date, and I will say -1. So this function is going to return the end date of the previous month. And when I do +1, it's going to give us the start date of the current month. So let's close the bracket and our date table is ready. So let's go to the table view to check the dates. So here in the start of month, let's change the date type to date. And we can also change the format. Maybe let's say month and year we want to show. So this date also we can change to date. And we can mark this table. So we can go to table tools. We can mark this table as a date table. So here we can see mark as date table. Turned off, we can turn on and choose the date column. So this is our date column, validated successfully. Click on save. Now Power BI recognizes this table as the date table. Let's go to the modeling view and let's create a connection. So we can create a relationship between this date and the order date. So this is the order date. Let's create a connection with this date. So our relationship has been created. Next is we'll have to create calculated measures. So keep this thing in mind. We should always have a measure table where we store all the measures in our data model. So that way it's very efficient to find the measures. So let's go to enter data and we can rename this table as key measures and just load. You can see this key measure table has been created. And here I can see one column 1 is there, which is not needed actually. So what we can do is right click and create one measure. And I will say sales. This will be sum of sales. And let's enter. So this is our first measure. So simultaneously, we are going to format it as well. So this is created and I cannot see the format option here. So let's go to the table view. And this is our first measure that we have created. Let's add this dollar value in the formatting, and the currency should have the 2 decimal places. So our first sales measure is created. Now we can delete this column 1 from this key measure table. So once we delete this column 1 from this table will be recognized as a measure table, and this will be moved to the top of the table. See what happens when we delete this column. So once we delete, see it's moved to the top and it recognizes as a measure table. Now we can create all our measures in this table only. So let's go to new measure and let's create measure for profit, which will be sum of profit. Here also I'm going to give the same format dollar and the currency will be 2. So let's see our questions and check what all measures we require. So we have created sales, we have created profit. Next is percentage of returned orders. So let's create that. Let's click on new measure and let's say percentage of returned orders. So this basically we'll have to calculate orders and return orders and then divide those things. So let's create variable for total orders, and this will be distinct count of the order IDs. So this will give me the total number of orders. Next, let's calculate the returned orders. So here we will calculate distinct count from the returns table. And here we can see this order ID from the returns table. So if I do the distinct count from here, it will give us the returned orders. Next, we are going to create a variable for the percentage, which will be divide. So I will just divide the returned orders by the total orders, and this will give us the percentage of returned orders. So in return, I'm going to return this percentage variable, and let's click on enter. And in the formatting, we can just make it percentage, and our three measures are created. Similarly, as you can see in our questions, we require to show the percentage change versus previous year. So basically, we need to show the percentage change from the last year. So for that, we'll have to create the last year measures as well. So we'll again go to new measure and say sales PY. And here I will so calculate sales same period last year. And from here, we'll in this same period last year, we'll give this date from the date table and close the bracket. So this will calculate the sales for the last year. And here also I will change the format to dollar and currency to 2. So now let's create our measures a little faster. So we can copy this measure and we can do new measure. I will just paste it here and I will have to calculate the profit PY. So I will select this sales and do Control Shift L. So it will select all the sales value. And from here we can directly replace it to profit. And click on enter. So this will calculate the profit for last year. Again, we can do a new measure. And here I will again select sales and Control Shift L. Here I will replace it with percentage returned orders. If I click on enter, it will calculate the percentage returned orders. And we can say percentage. We have created the previous year values. Now let's create the percentage change. So for that, we'll have to create new measure again. And I will say versus PY for sales. So here I will just divide. So the formula is sales minus previous year sales divided by previous year sales. So I will say sales minus sales PY, and then I will divide it by sales PY. So this will give the percentage change, and we have calculated it for sales. So let's copy this, and the format will be just percentage. Create a new measure for profit percentage change. So I will just replace this sale with Control Shift L and say profit. So this is the measure for percentage change of profit. Let's create a new measure, and this is the last measure. So we can again do the same thing, and we can again do the same thing, but for percentage returned orders, it is already in percentage. To calculate the percentage change for a percentage value, we'll have to just subtract. Instead of doing divide, we'll just have to subtract. Returned orders. So here we don't need these things. We will just say percentage returned orders minus percentage returned orders PY. So this will give the percentage change for percentage returned orders. We have created all the required measures that is required in our report. Now we are going to do one more last thing in the data modeling. We are going to do this last thing to organize these measures so we can easily find out the measure. So let's go to the modeling view, and from here I will select profit, sales, and another measure that is return orders. And in the properties pane, I will say, let's store these three measures in the metric folder. Again, for previous year, I will select profit PY, sales PY, and percentage return PY, and say it as PY measures or simply PY. Store these percentage change measures in the versus PY measure folder. So now if you go to report view, you can see if we can easily find out the measures from here. If I want the metrics, if I want the previous year metrics, or if I want the percentage change metrics. So this is the efficient way to store the measures in our measure table. So our data modeling is complete. So now we are left with the report creation. Let's go to our requirement document. Here we can see, first of all, we have to create the metrics for sales, profit, and percentage return orders and show the percentage change values. For this, we'll take the new card visualization. And in the new card visualization, I'm going to take the metrics, that is sales, then profit, and then percentage return orders. Let's open the format pane. First, we can go to callout values and we can decrease the value to 18 and make the font to Sejo UI semi-bold. Callout value is fine. Now let's go to reference label. In the reference label, in the sales series, we can select the series. So we have 3 measures. So we have these 3 measures showing. So sales is selected. In the sales, we can add. So we'll have to pick this up and we can add here. So sales PY is added. We can add, so we will add one more versus PY measure for sales. Again, I will go to profit. And in the profit, I will add profit PY and versus PY profit. I'll go to return orders and do the same thing. Now let's do some formatting here. Let's go to the sales first. And in the select label, we can say first we want to rename this sales PY to PY. So sales PY, this title we can change. So it's saying content field name. So we can say select custom here and we can change this to PY and add some spaces. In the select label, we can change it to versus PY. And again, I will select custom, select and say we just want versus PY and some spaces. So we can do the same thing for the other 2 measures. In the reference label, I don't want this grayish color. So select series, we can select all. And then we can see this divider option and the background option is enabled. So in the background option, let's select white. Divider, let's say we want a lighter color. So in the cards, we have this border. Remove this border. And these values are very closer to each other, so it's difficult to read. So what we can do is we can separate this in the tabular format. So for that, we can go to layout style. We need to choose, currently it's sentence, so that's why it's showing in the sentence. We need to choose this tabular. So now it's separated and it's clearly visible. And let's add the padding as well. So search for padding. And I will say I need a wide padding. So this looks good. So let's go to the requirement document, and here we have some color codes for the background and the positive and negative colors. So I have these colors. Let's add it to the background with 40% transparency. Go to canvas background. Here I will add the color and I will make it 40% transparent. And let's add a title. So I will insert a shape, rectangular shape, and I will change the fill to white. And I will turn off the border. Align this to the top. And let's turn on the text and say Superstore. So let's change the font color to black. And let's increase the size to, let's say 20. And make it semi-bold. And align it to the left and add the padding to 25. It looks good. Next, let's come to the KPI. And here I will remove the background. So go to size and style and just remove the background. So now we can see this is separated and clearly visible. Reduce the size a bit. This is fine, I guess. So now the KPI is not done yet. So what we can do is we can add a conditional formatting to this versus PY. So this percentage change, we can add a rule and add a conditional formatting. So if it is increasing, if it is good for us, we can mark it as green, and if it is bad for us, we can mark it as red. So we have our green color. So this positive color is basically a green color. So we can copy this color, add the conditional formatting. So we can go to reference label again. In the reference label, let's select sales, and in the select label, let's say selected versus PY. So let's select this versus PY label, and let's go to value. So in this value section, in the font color, add the conditional formatting. So I want a rule instead of gradient. So, and let's change this field as well to this percentage versus PY sales. And let's add two rules. So if it is greater than minimum, less than 0, and second will be if it is greater than 0 and less than maximum. So this will be red. So here we can choose a green color, a dark green color, and copy this green color. So click on OK, and let's make it bold. So this is not visible clearly. So let's make this Saju UI bold. Yeah, this looks fine. And similarly, I will do it for profit and percentage returned orders. So you can see this is negative is marked as red. One more thing to note, percentage returned orders. If the percentage of returned orders is decreasing, it is good for the company because their number of returned orders are decreasing. So we will mark this negative value as green and the positive value as red. So we can go to the conditional formatting again, and we can reverse the color order and click on OK. So now it is green. So the negative return orders are good for us. So the lesser the return orders, the better for us. So our KPI is done. Now let's go to the PowerPoint and let's see. So we'll have to create a sales performance chart and compare it with the previous year. So for this, I will use a line chart, and I will use sales measure, last year sales measure, and in the x-axis we need this monthly start date in the x-axis. This is fine. Let's do some formatting here. So I will double click and change the title to sales versus previous year over time. So this is our title. Let's hover over add legend so that the formatting pane will open, and let's turn off the title of the legend. And in the legend option, let's change the position of the legend to top right. So I prefer the legends to be in the top right section. We don't need this x-axis and y-axis titles because we can see that this is sales from the title itself. So it's already identifiable. So let's turn off this title. Again, go to this x-axis title. We can see the date. So we don't need this title. We can see these grid lines, which is not looking good. So I will go to the grid line, and here I will choose solid. Here we don't need vertical grid lines, so I will turn off the grid lines. Now see, our chart looks little cleaner. We can search for padding and add some padding in it. So I will add 20 padding on each side. So if you see, after adding this padding, our chart is looking more clear. If I say I will have to capture the sales performance versus previous year, we cannot identify which is previous year, which is current year at the first glance. So I'll show you how to handle this. So let's click on it and go to lines in the formatting pane, and I will select sales first and add our color. So we have our own color. So this is the positive color. So we are going to add this positive color here. So this is the sales color, and for sales previous year, we'll select a lighter gray color. Select this 30% darker in the line style, dotted or dashed. So I prefer dashed. So now anybody will see the primary metric is the sales, that which is in green color, and the secondary metric is the dashed line. That's what I was talking about. These small changes in your chart can improve the readability, and the readability is the most important factor when you create a dashboard. So I have done the formatting, and I'm going to use this here. And let's align it a little. So we have this second chart here. Let's see what is the next one. So next one is determine the most profitable product and the most loss-making product. So for the most loss making product and the most profit making product, we can create a bar chart or the column chart. So what we can do is I will just copy this chart because we have done all these formattings and we don't have to do it again and again. So I will just copy paste this chart and I will change it to a bar chart. And here I don't need this month. I want from orders, I want category and subcategories. So I will choose category and in the, let's add subcategory as well. And in the y-axis, we want profit instead of sales. So let's choose profit. And now let's add the conditional formatting. Also, we can add vertical grid lines, which will separate the categories. Currently, we are not able to see under furniture what all categories are there. So we can enable the grid line. So we can go to grid line and enable the vertical grid line here. And I will choose solid. See this segregation. So this table comes under furniture and appliances comes under office supplies. So these are the minor changes that you should keep in mind. Let's add a rule to this color. Let's add a gradient and it will be profit. The key measure is going to be this profit. And in the lowest value, I will say this red color. And in the highest value, I will choose the green color, which I'm using till now. So let's copy the green color from here. Again. And I will add it here. So here in the middle color, I am not liking this color. So for this middle color, I will add a middle color option as well. And here I will choose this lighter gray. So the most profitable one will be the greener ones and the most loss making ones will be the red ones and the average ones will be the gray ones. So let's click on OK and see the change. So after adding this condition formatting, we can easily identify that this product, that is technology copiers, is the most profitable product. And this tables is the most loss-making product. See the power of conditional formatting. Let's change this title, profit by product. Let's align this little. I think it's fine. So we have answered our third question as well. Let's see the fourth one. So find out the places where most of the profit is happening. So here we will create a map. So again, I will just copy paste this chart. I will make it a shape map. And here I will remove this legend. So here we want by profit. So let's add the profit and remove this tooltip. Let's add it. So we have added the profit and the color saturation, and in the location, we are going to add the state or province. So let's search state or province. So we can change the map settings as well. So here you see map type is USA state. So since we have the states from USA, that's why we have used this. Else you'll have to use something different. I will close this map settings and I will go to fill colors. And in the gradient, see, it's already taken the gradient. So in the minimum value, I will choose this lighter gray. And in the maximum value, I will choose the green that we are using. So let's change the title, profit by state. So from this chart, we can easily say that this California is the most profitable state and this Texas is the most loss-making state. Let's create one more chart here. So the last one is sales by segment. So this will be a donut chart and here we'll add sales instead of profit. And in the legend, we can add segment. Since we have only 3 segments, that's why I have used the donut chart. But if it is more than 3, don't use pie chart or donut chart. That is not preferred. Let's do some formatting. So legend, we are not able to see since we have less space. So what I will do is I will just turn off the legend. Detail label, I don't need all this information. I just need the percentage value. So I will just say percentage of total. Let's change the title as well. So this is sales by segment. Now, one more thing is left. We should add the conditional formatting to this chart as well. And to add the conditional formatting, if we go to the slices, we see we have 3 different slices and we don't see any conditional formatting option here. So in this case, how to apply condition formatting in the pie chart or the donut chart? So I have a workaround for this. So we can go to a bar chart, and here we can add a conditional formatting. So we can go to columns or bars, maybe bars, and here we can add conditional formatting here in this color option. So I want gradient, and this is sales value, so I will select the sales measure, and here we can select that green color which we are using, and in the lowest value we can use this lighter gray color. Click on OK. So in the bar chart we have added the condition formatting. Now what if I switch to donut chart? See, it's automatically added. So this is the way to add the conditional formatting in the pie chart. Increase the inner radius, so I will make it little thin. Yeah, this is fine. Let's align these visuals. Yeah. So we have answered all the questions in our report. So one more thing we can do is we can add slices. We don't have any spaces to add slices. So we can add a slicer pane and add bookmarks here. So I will show you a designing technique to add a slicer panel. So I will go to the next page, and here I will add this slicer, and I will add this customer name, and do the formatting, like make it drop down, add a select all, and also add search option from here. What else? So this is fine, I guess. Let's create 3 more slicers. So this is customer, this is for country. So let's add it for a segment. So let's add this for date. And we'll change the styling options, like we'll make it between. And let's increase the space. Let's turn off the slider. Yeah, so I've created this slicers. Now let's create a slicer pane. So I will use PowerPoint to create slicer pane. So let's create a new PowerPoint. I will delete these things, and I will insert icons. Let's say I want a filter icon. So I will use this filter icon and insert it to the report. And also I want to insert the design. So I will use folder. So insert this as well. So this folder, I want it in this way. And here, let's right click on this and say format. So in the fill, let's add a gray fill. In the line, no line is fine. Let's go to shadows, and in the presets, we can add this outer shadow. Lines are ready. So I will just import. So I'll right click and save as picture. So save as PNG. I will say panel BG, and this also I will save as picture. Here, let's import those images. So go to insert image. In the image style, let's say scaling should be fit. Let's make it more bigger. On top of it, let's add these slicers at once. Go to background and turn it off. Let's go to value and turn on the background of the values. So make it white. So our 4 slices are ready. Now I will group all these slicer. So let's write it as filter so that we can recognize this one. And let's create a group. So I will select all these and right click and say group. Let's insert one shape, this one. This one will be for closing the panel. We can add a color to this. Go to shape style and fill the color, make it white, and let's turn off the border. Yeah, I think this is fine. And let's add this shape inside this group. Yeah, so our slicer panel is ready. So we can also create a group for these two. Slicer panel. Copy this slicer pane to this page here, and move this to top. Select this slicer pane. I want to create 2 bookmarks. One will be for pane open and one will be for pane close. So let's right click and turn off the data and selected visuals. Select selected visuals. Now we are ready to bookmark. So I will select this slicer pane and select this filter as well. And after selecting these 2, I want the state to be in the pane open state. So I will update the bookmark, and I will turn off this slicer pane group, and again select these 2 and update the pane close bookmarks. The pane open, pane close is fine, pane open is fine. So bookmark is done. So let's add bookmark names. So in this filter image, I will go to formatting and go to action, turn on the action, and in the action type bookmark, and in the bookmark choose pane open, and in this back shape pane close. So when we click on that, it should close it. See, if I close it here, we're going back to the pane close state. And if I click here, it will open this and we can filter it from here for any customer, for any date, for any country, and we can close it. So that was it for this video. I hope you liked this video. I learned many things in this end-to-end Power BI project. If you genuinely like this video, do comment on this video so that I can make more and more videos of this kind, and it will be helpful to you to become a good Power BI developer. So I hope you are taking something from this project and you have learned many things from designing to data modeling. So let's wrap this video. Till then, goodbye and thanks for watching my video.